Well, again, I'm a little nuts. So it was written, that role was written as a henchman. And I chose to play him gay because he had such a vengeance and a desire to get rid of Eva Marie Saint that I felt it was a great choice. And everyone I knew told me not to do it, saying, you know, everyone will think you're gay. And I said, I'm not gay. And even if they think I'm gay, so what? I mean, you know, what the hell, you know. But it was such a logical choice. I felt, you know, if I'm just another henchman, getting rid of, but I played it as a homosexual, ever so slightly, because I figured if they didn't get it in Boise, Idaho, they would get it in New York or Chicago or wherever. People were a little more sophisticated, and it was very subtle, but James Mason, to the day he died, hated my choice because it made his character, Van Damme, bisexual. I mean, the most often asked question of James Mason, and he became a friend of mine, was Van Damme, the character you played in North by Northwest, bisexual? And he said, no! Damn it, no! He said there was nothing he could do about it. Hitchcock loved my choice. And a lot of people said, you'll never work again in film. Well, that's not exactly true. But the bottom line is, I did play it a little unconventionally for the time because, you know, most homosexual characters in movies at the time were extended and caricatured, like, you know, Arnold Pangborn and those people, you know, they were kind of caricatures. And I played very subtly and seriously. Yes, your hands up.
Okay. You were also in the movie Cleopatra, playing a Roman officer.
For the longest time.
Could you tell me something about the production on it? Because I heard it went on forever almost.
Well, the budget for that film was $11 million when I started, and wound up costing $42 million, which at that time was more proportionate than even Titanic was years later when it cost more. And I came in with Joe Mankiewicz. Tommy Mankiewicz said, you know, because Reuben Mamoulian started to direct that movie in London with Elizabeth Taylor, Stephen Boyd, and a whole different cast. And then the rains came and Elizabeth became ill and nearly died, and pneumonia. I mean, it was awful. And then 20th Century Fox had Joe Mankiewicz rewrite the script, but he didn't finish it. And Joe Mankiewicz's son, Tommy Mankiewicz, told me that he came home from Yale and was watching television one night with his father when I appeared on the show playing a Mexican or something. And something that I would never get cast in today because it would be politically incorrect. Young actors. I mean, I had a lot of very kinds of roles in those days, including American Indians, you know, Native Americans and all kinds of stuff that I would never get a chance to play today. But Joe Mankiewicz saw me and he said, hey, I like that kid. And he said, I'm going to use him on my next picture. And he didn't know what his next picture was. Well, Mamoulian falls out of Cleopatra. Joe Mankiewicz is hired for it and never forgot what he said to Tommy. I get a call and someone says, do you know Joe Mankiewicz? I said, no, why? I know who he is. He did, you know, All About Eve, won the Oscar, and led the Three Wives, and he's a, you know, he just recently directed Julius Caesar with Marlon Brando and the whole. I said, yeah, I know a lot about him. He said, well, he seems to know you. And I said, wow, that's great. He says, he wants to see you at 20th Century Fox. And I went to see him, and he greeted me as if I was part of his family. And next thing I know, I'm in that movie, playing Rufio, who is Caesar's general and best friend, and Antony's general and best friend, and almost conscience. And of course, Zanuck took over the studio, and my 10 best scenes were cut out of the movie entirely, which they weren't about to cut Elizabeth, Richard, or Rex Harrison. So I got it. Got it good. They, you know, so my 10 best scenes were taken out, and because I remember they were talking about an Oscar and stuff, and it didn't deserve an Oscar after the cuts. But that's, you know, life. The original picture would have been 6 hours long. 3 hours for the first part with Caesar, and 3 hours, and they cut it down to 4 hours total, which was 2 hours for the first half with Rex Harrison and 2 hours with Richard Burton. And I go right through it, but less sizable role, however, and I'm less there. Anyway, that's a long answer again.
It was a long movie, deserved a long answer.